Hey, it's your boy SergDragon, and welcome back to another edition of the Heaven Monsters podcast. With me always is T-Money, King of Puppies. There you go. This time around, it's a Friday, rightfully so, because we got done with the WrestleMania review, SmackDown and Raw review. Now we're getting done with 205 Live and NXT review. Starting off with April 9th, 205 Live. We start the show off with a match with Humberto Carrillo against gentleman Jack Gallagher. On account of disqualification thanks to Drew Gulak, there was major talk about the whole entire throughout the whole entire match with him on commentary. As guest commentator, I guess. And he was hoping that either one of these two guys would vouch for him when they talk about his ground style campaign gimmick. Ultimately, Humberto would repeatedly use the Lucha Libre style and keep going to the high-flying standards, including going up to the top turnbuckle, in which case Jack Gallagher would interfere, shoving Humberto off the turnbuckle, issuing in a disqualification on Humberto's part. Then he would go on to assault Humberto, repeatedly saying things like, "Why don't you listen to me? This is what happens when you don't listen to me." And surprisingly, Jack Gallagher grabs his hand from swinging at Humberto any further and says, "What are you doing?" And he headbutts him, showcasing that he's no longer aligned with him and approve of his disciplinary skills. Thus, the campaign group ended up, breaking up. Sad but true. I don't know what that part is. Then we have an issue on the fact that these two men want to fight each other. The new addition to 205 Live, Oney Lorcan, and his beef with Cedric Alexander and vice versa. So instead of having two meetings, Cedric Alexander would enter Drake Maverick's office, the general manager of 205 Live. To save him time of having two meetings, he just had the one, with Oney Lorcan in the room already. It would be issued by the request of both superstars wanting to fight each other that the match next week will be made featuring those two fighting each other, Cedric Alexander versus Oney Lorcan. Finally, the main event would come to the rematch for the former Cruiserweight champion Buddy Murphy versus the current, at WrestleMania, Tony Nese. In such a grueling battle that happened inside, outside, all over the ring, including the part where they hit each other multiple times on the announce table that throughout the whole match did not give out. So each and every time they slammed each other into the announce table, since it didn't break, they felt the full force. That hurt like a motherfucker. In the end, it was Tony Nese that got the win and retained his title, ultimately putting the juggernaut of 205 Live, a.k.a. the best kept secret at the time, in the back of the line. Good on you, Mr. 8-Pack. He even came out saying, "I think I found something better than my 8-Pack, and it's this gold around my waist." And they was saying that. Yeah, they was saying that. All right. Next up, we will cover April 5th, 2019, about to say 2009, of NXT Takeover New York. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. NXT Takeover New York would kick off the WrestleMania weekend, followed by Hall of Fame ceremony for 2019, and then WrestleMania 35 itself. With that said, NXT Takeover New York did not disappoint. It had a very few matches compared to WrestleMania, but each of those matches was hands down A-class, for real. Starting off with the tag team titles on the line featuring the champions War Raiders versus Aleister Black and Ricochet. These two would take their high-flying striking skills against the heavyweight weight-defying class because they can throw down and fly and cartwheel for some goddamn reason. Especially the big bearded guy with the long hair. That guy did cartwheels in the ring to dodge. That was funny. But despite that, I made a statement on SmackDown on Raw review that on NXT they were outpowered. No joke. These guys, the War Raiders, have been a tag team, fought each other, beat the hell out of each other, and decided to tag team with each other because of how well they work together and how determined they're willing to be when they were known as War Machine throughout everywhere else but WWE. They are known as the War Raiders. And they brought the fight to Aleister Black and Ricochet by defeating them. After the match, they showed absolutely respect to those two by bowing their heads to them, and Ricochet and Aleister Black returning the favor by bowing their heads to them and each side of the ring to the audience, because this would symbolize the last time you would see Aleister Black and Ricochet representing NXT. They would move on to Raw or SmackDown, depending on where the shakeup leads them. Hopefully together, because they work as a good damn tag team. I hope they don't split that up. But
it's the decision. They do it.
Yeah. Chances are that option is there. Yeah. We'll see. Next up, we would have the North American Championship match featuring the champ, Velveteen Dream, versus the undefeated Matt Riddle. So, with that said, that was another hell-raising match. Using strikes, submissions, and aerial assault moves, it would end in one surprising move when Velveteen Dream defeats Matt Riddle by actually countering his submission hold. A choke hold that we have seen so many times, and Velveteen Dream pulled himself, legs in the air first, backwards, to put Matt Riddle's, both his shoulders, on the mat. And Matt Riddle is shocked to see that he got pinned for the first time by the champ of the North American title, Velveteen Dream. Once again, nothing but respect. The original broski, Matt Riddle, issued a fist bump to Velveteen Dream, and he returned it. Hell yeah. Next up would be an even more ruthless match. Special featuring the United Kingdom Championship UK title. Sorry, I had a message just pop up. I was looking at it. It would be the champion Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, versus Walter, a wrecking force representing the UK, and did not disappoint. His swings, his slaps, his kicks, and his mid-air drop kicks. He's like a freaking UK version of Braun Strowman. Goddamn. He's not as big. But damn. Fuck. With Bruiserweight using his signature British style, striking, strong style, and his freaking, let me show you. I'm not going to really do it. I'm just going to give people an example. He freaking pressed the freaking fingers in so many different ways. And he, unlike that, I was being gentle. He was not gentle. And the freaking Walter was able to fight off and ultimately slam him into the ring, ultimately becoming the new UK champion.
He's a heel?
Both are pretty fan favorites. They're not heels. They're just ass kickers.
I see a heel doing that. That's what I'm saying.
I know, I do that, but people don't see him as a heel. He see him as a babyface. Ass kicker like Stone Cold. But ultimately, it would be next up on the list, the Women's NXT Championship in a fatal four-way featuring the champ, Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair versus Io Shirai. Io Shirai and Kairi Sane are best friends, but they did not put that in front of them. In fact, it only hurt them to know that they were not going to hold back, as Kairi Sane would have a face like, because she knows as soon as she's going up that title, she ain't going to stop. So she elbow dropped her friend and everything. They just kicked each other's ass. They had fun tag team matches.
Wait. I know about Io Shirai, but the Kairi Sane, that's the Asian girl.
With the pirate thing.
I thought that was Io Shirai.
Io Shirai is the Mexican one.
Okay.
A Mexican theme, inspired by Rey Mysterio.
You got Asian, you got Mexican girl.
Both of them in Japan. She wears a mask in honor of Rey Mysterio, her inspiration.
You said both from Japan. I don't say.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. You said they're one. The other one's Mexican.
Mm-mm.
That's how
the Mexican mask style.
Yeah, that's what I asked you earlier. I said, are they both?
Both Japanese.
Yeah, that's what
both friends. And what's funny is in the beginning of the match, you see Bianca Belair blowing a kiss to Kairi Sane, and you see hand gestures. You see her grabbing that kiss, flinging it to her best friend Io Shirai, and she just swings it right out of the freaking stadium, and everybody's going nuts. They're like, ah! And Bianca Belair is like, oh, you did not just do that. Girl. Like that. That's what she sounds like. And so Shayna Baszler's just like, what the hell am I fighting? These are the three I'm fighting today? Just straight up, they left it in the ring, ladies and gentlemen. All four of these women brought the house down and showed why there is a women's revolution. Especially considering one champion, Shayna Baszler, actually goes out of her way to beat the living hell out of everybody and choke, I think it was Kairi Sane or Io Shirai. It was one of them. It wasn't Bianca Belair. She choked the hell out of him and made her pass out and ultimately retained her title. Damn. Actually, no. She tapped. That's right. Because even my mom was watching this, seeing the women's match, and she's loving it. And knowing that she's having to tap out, my mom's commentating, saying that holding that person for so long, it hurts when they're struggling. So, love her or hate her, she retained her title. The submission magician, Shayna Baszler. Next. No, going up. I'm going up. Yep, that's it. Okay, go up, look for you had the one before, the 10th, April 10th.
Okay.
Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, the match that would decide it all. The vacated on account of Tommaso Ciampa's neck injury, where he needed 3 neck surgeries in a row. Not on separate days, in a row. So he couldn't defend his title. It had to be vacated weeks before the NXT Takeover. And ultimately it would be Adam Cole, baby, versus Johnny Wrestling. Or Johnny Gargano, but they're calling him Johnny Takeover. And rightfully so, because this takeover was insane. Triple H, creator and owner of NXT, would issue that this match cannot be decided on a fluke or a whim. Therefore, it would be 2 out of 3 falls. Whoever wins 2 times in that match is the new NXT champion. First fall would belong to Adam Cole, thanks to his finishing move. The second would belong to Johnny Gargano for his submission hold. But that's when things got really fucked up. My mom was livid, bro. You know that. My mom was livid. She did not. You weren't there. That's right.
Bro, the one who created was the Mr. Man. He gave that to Triple H to own it now.
Yeah, but everybody sees Triple H running it. Ultimately, my mom was pissed because she hates cheaters. She hates them. She knows that. I told her too that sometimes people have to be told they're going to be heels, part of the storyline. But she said, I know, but still, I don't like it. And she's looking at this, seeing all the 4 members of Undisputed Era just in there, interfering in the match the whole entire time. And multiple times, you would think Johnny Gargano was going to be screwed. That he was going to be hit hard, and he was so many times. He was hit ridiculously on the amount of times. That every single time you thought he was done, he was not done. Johnny Gargano would then beat the living hell out of one by one, doing so many crazy moves against the Undisputed Era, and ultimately getting Adam Cole in the ring and puts him in his submission hold, rolls him back when he was close to the rope, got him dead center, and he tapped out, ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Champion of NXT. His wife came out, and people were thinking she was about to jump him. Like, who is that? Oh, that's his wife, because the violet purple tips, we didn't notice. She had her hair done. Oh, and at the end of it, ladies and gentlemen, we had a surprise guest. A friend of me, but a true friend in real life, outside the storylines of wrestling. Tommaso Ciampa, wearing a neck brace, is there, smiling, damn near breaking in tears, with Johnny Gargano and his wife, smiling, congratulating him in his first ever title reign. That would be it for NXT Takeover New York. Here comes the next NXT following. You got it? Here we go. Courtesy of the week before, Candice, thank you. Candice LeRae is Johnny Gargano's wife. I didn't know the name. I'm still knowing her. And she fights another woman, named Aaliyah, and defeats her. Good on you. Because she was being called a loser. She ain't a loser if she whooped your ass. Next, we have Jackson Riker, formerly known as Gunner in Impact Wrestling, versus Danny Burch. Sadly, Gunner outpowered him. He's a heel. He's in a heel faction known as the Forgotten Sons. And Gunner proves his power and defeats him. Next, we would have a match with the Street Profits fighting the Fabian Arkner?
Yeah.
And
Marcel.
Oh, it's Marcel Bartel. 2 Italians fighting 2 Street Profits. Despite all that, considering the losing streak they've been on and how many chances they've been trying to get to the tag team titles, the Street Profit took it to them, showing energy and spirit and attitude that just took over that match. Hell yeah. Oh, shit, that's it. What? One last bit of business, ladies and gentlemen. Courtesy of NXT, when you're at NXT featuring WrestleMania or any NXT Takeover, one thing you always got to keep your eyes on is anybody in the arena. Many people would see people like Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix, both Hall of Famers. You would see people like UK fighters of Toni Storm and another woman, the big one. I can't remember. I'm not good with names, especially the British ones. Yeah, there's a big woman in NXT UK that was in the Mae Young Classic. And let's see. I'm trying to see if there was anybody else that I'm trying to think here. Not to my knowledge, I can't think of anybody else except for one person in particular, and that was former champion of both New Japan Wrestling, mainly there, and Ring of Honor, better known as the guy whose gimmick is Back to the Future. Even got his moves Back to the Future and the hoverboard as his name of his finisher and submission hold. You believe that? Kushida is coming to... he's not coming. He's here. He signed a contract on NXT on Wednesday. It was official. He had signed a contract earlier that week after NXT Takeover New York. Hey, we got another Japanese wrestler, bro. He's a junior weight, multi-time junior weight champion. It's like the cruiserweight, but gets more royalty over there. To a point they got their own tag team division that has been earned by War Raiders, Undisputed Era, Bullet Club, so many.
But they're not the first tag team Asians.
Red Dragons, which was Undisputed Era.
They're not the first Asian tag team.
Oh, I know they're not. But he's been known for getting those titles between lower class, and he hasn't won a world title, but I don't think that's going to matter with you got the NXT title as well as the North American title. He's definitely going to go for those. In which case, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to hear that Kushida is in NXT, in WWE. It just makes more future, never before seen, first time matches that we, as the fans, are going to enjoy. That said, that'll be the end of this podcast, bro. You ready? If you like this video, ladies and gentlemen, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Hit that subscribe button, like the content, and hit that notification bell for the next Heaven's Monsters podcast. Before we sign out, I almost forgot. Don't think I forgot about you, bros. If you want, shout out to our boys Xavier Hill and Mike Henry. A link to their YouTube pages will be in the descriptions down below, as always. And a shout out to our other members of the Heaven's Monsters podcast crew: Renee, Farrell, Andre, Chris Petrie, and Delvin.
Clark Xavier.
I said Xavier first.
Okay.
Xavier and Mike Henry. Always in the description down below to their YouTube page. In which case, thank you for watching, everybody. We hope you had a good weekend. A good day. And we'll see you next time. Think we'll try and do a Monday edition of 2 episodes of Impact. Because we couldn't do this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much to do, people. So, that said, peace out.
Bye.